All of this into consideration, Andrew, now looking ahead, Speaker Mike Johnson said that he is going to hear a vote on what they're calling the discharge petition to compel, basically, a vote to compel the Department of Justice to release the remainder of the files. Interestingly enough, this discharge petition has garnered support from a number of Republicans that were MAGA devotees, for lack of a better term. So can you tell folks who haven't been following closely, who are these people and where does that stand?
Well, it's interesting because you mentioned at the beginning that these are otherwise very fierce Trump allies. Ever since it was announced that the discharge petition got the requisite votes to come to the floor, other Republicans, like Andy Biggs, for example, right, a Republican from Arizona, a very fierce ally of Donald Trump, announced that they would actually support the bill on the floor when it comes to a vote, which is going to be probably on Tuesday. At this point, it's a free vote, essentially, because we already know it has the votes to pass because it has a majority of signatures on a majority of members of the House. But there is some frustration at how Republican leaders have handled this. Jeff, you were talking about how on Wednesday, the day the shutdown was ending, the White House wanted to talk about that. They wanted to talk about the fact that they felt like they had just scored a victory against Democrats. And then what did they have to talk about? Jeffrey Epstein, right? But it wasn't just because of the emails that came out. It was because the new member from Arizona, Adelita Grijalva, was sworn in. Speaker Johnson had held out for almost 2 months on swearing her in. He could have done that much earlier. The storyline would have been, okay, she's the 218th signature. It now has a majority. Next time the House is in session, that's when this vote is going to happen. But instead, that is actually what triggered this becoming a story once again when the House finally came back into session because Speaker Johnson kept them out of session for so long. And I will say there is some Republican frustration at James Comer as well. He's the chairman of the House Oversight Committee. He essentially tried to dissuade Republicans from signing this discharge petition by saying, okay, we, the Oversight Committee, are going to try to get some of these documents. Well, these documents that got released on Wednesday that Democrats released came from that very effort that James Comer, as the chairman of the committee, initiated. So a lot of Republicans feel like their leadership hasn't handled this issue very well. They could have gotten past it sooner. Again, this effort is going to die when it gets to the Senate anyway, and now we're going to be talking about it for longer.